thank you for joining us for our Rising Second Grade or Class 2 meeting. So, this is for students, parents, and grown ups of students who are in Class 1 or first grade currently and moving to Class 2 in the fall. We're so happy to have you here, those of you in attendance and those of you watching the recording. My name is Sarah Barrett, and I'm one of the directors here at Lotus Ivy. And we're going to turn it over to Miss Gemignani right away. She is our second grade main lesson teacher for next year. She'll talk a little bit about main lesson and language arts. And then I'll talk a little bit about the other classes that we have for our second graders. And then if you have any questions, you can type them into the chat. We're happy to answer those too. All right, Miss Gemignani.
Thank you, Ms. Barrett. Hi, everyone. My name's Miss Gemignani, Miss Vanessa Gemignani, and I'm currently the first grade teacher at Lotus and Ivy. And this is my second year teaching first grade for Lotus and Ivy. This is my fourth year overall with Lotus and Ivy. And before Lotus and Ivy, I taught at a brick and mortar school in Portland, Oregon. And I brought a class second through fourth grade and then taught first grade as well. I am in my teacher training. I'm about to graduate in July, and it's been such a gift to be able to do that because I've been teaching in this Waldorf way for 8 years, but I didn't really have the seeds or fertilizer to know really what I was doing or why I was doing it. Like I was doing all the beautiful things that we do in Waldorf education, but I didn't really have the why. And so I'm really grateful to have that now and to be able to teach from that space. So I've decided to loop up with this loop of, hi everybody, it's good to see you all, with this loop of first graders to second grade. And I think one thing that I just kind of like to start off with, in Waldorf education, we talk about reading the child and observing them. And I just wonder, and we won't be able to share out in this way necessarily today, but I just want you to think just in this first year of formative schooling in their grade 1, in what ways have you seen your child evolve? And to just hold on to the significance of what happens inside of 1 year, and to really honor their evolution as human beings on the earth. And so specifically, we'll talk about what this looks like in grade 2, in years 7 and 8. And so really what I'd like to answer the question of today is, how does the second grade curriculum meet the child at this age and stage in their development? And one really important thing in Waldorf education is, because we are so interested in reading the children and observing them, in this format, we have a bit of a challenge. And so that's why you are your child's first teacher. And anything that you share with me becomes really good information for me to lead the group in where they need to be going. Because there are some barriers, but that's why we become really good teammates in teaching your child and the children in the whole group. So in the years of 7 and 8, in grade 2, I was trying to think of an analogy of grades 1, 2, and 3. And here's what I have, and maybe you can come up with your own that feels good. But I was imagining, grade 1 is all about wholeness and oneness and feeling a part of. And there really isn't much of a separation between the child and the world. They are one with the world. And so I was imagining this kind of playful playing with a baby where, there's a lot of trust and love and warmth. And you're going to throw them and you're going to toss them in the air. And there's excitement and there's joy, and you're holding on to them and they're looking in your eyes. That's grade 1. They are in awe. There's a wholeness and a oneness that they're a part of. They don't feel, there's no separateness. There's an imitation, right? They're seeing your face, and there's a lot of beauty and joy in that. And then comes the time where you're about to toss them in the air and you just let go. And inside of that, this is grade 2. There has to be trust, and there's a reverence for, wow, like this caretaker, this person of authority, which is a really big part of grade 2, is looking to trusting authority to orient themselves into the world in a good way. And so grade 2 is the letting go. And it's still held, right? Like you're still going to catch them. It's still very much controlled and full of love and joy. But there's a letting go. And then this is kind of what I'm thinking, is that the pinnacle, the top, when they start to fall, is grade 3. Where there's a truth to the gravity. they're gonna have to fall down, and you're gonna catch them, and you're gonna provide that place of safety for them, and groundedness in the catch. But there's a little bit of fear in the fall. And so that's kind of this journey of first, second, and third. And then, of course, beyond that, there is more movement, which I haven't created the rest of the analogy for the other grades. But I'm just imagining that kind of feeling for grades 1, 2, and 3, and kind of what we're headed towards in the 9-year change, which is the fall. And so in second grade, they're leading up to that. And what happens is there's a bit of separateness that becomes introduced, and a bit of choice. And so what is really important at this stage is a loving authority. And that happens at home with you all, and that happens with me as their teacher. And so just a little bit of lead up to what happens before age 7. We know that from 0 to 7, they are the most sponge-like. They are sensory beings taking in the world around them. And their spiritual tap, coming from the powers beyond our physical world, is on full blast. They are coming into their bodies and figuring out what it means to taste and feel and touch and hear. And there's so much excitement and so much newness, and learning really what it means to be on the earth. And this is why in first grade, we live in our imaginations, just living fully in our imaginations, imagining that the trees are talking and the flowers are talking, and that the birds and the bees are friends, and just the amount of safety living in our imaginations. We're giving them a felt experience to walk away with. And we tell fairy tales in first grade. And until the 7th year, they are fully in imitation, and they are one with their grown-ups at home and their teachers at school. They are happy to follow and to copy their environment. They really become little copies of their environment. And then as they grow past age 7 and their teeth are falling out, right? That's like a sign Steiner says of incarnation, that they're coming fully into their physical beings. But this is when the slow separation begins. And this is, of course, a journey that is going to come with all sorts of feelings, and sometimes maybe some grief, which makes a lot of sense. But this is their own journey towards ultimately freedom. And that is our goal as educators at home and at school, is to send them forth in freedom. And that reminds me of, and maybe I'll end with this verse. It's, but to send them forth in freedom. And this is their slow journey in so much safety, right? They're still going to be caught by all of us, but to let them have some freedom and some choice, and just to know that this is developmental time for them to learn how to be a little bit separate, and to bring them the curriculum in that way. So the slow separations begin after the change of teeth. And after the change of teeth, a child's inner nature tries to form itself according to the natural authority figures around them, and what those natural authority figures around them reveal to them about what is important. And so just like from 0 to 7, you are still their North Star. And everything that you do permeates their inner nature and their being. And so their sense of beauty develops properly if they're able to develop the standard of this loving authority, or these loving authorities that are holding them as they grow. And another part of this loving authority, is that there must be a spontaneous desire and like a free desire to respect them. And so sometimes teachers or parents will try to garner respect, and we really want it to be a loving invitation and really should be held in like a high reverence, a North Star, something kind of glowing to admire, are these adults around these children. And this will fill them with a spontaneous love for truth and beauty and goodness, because that is what their beloved authority figures behold as well. And so just as we are trying to grow these children with love and reverence, we have to do that for ourselves just as much, right? Like I can't fill a cup if my cup is empty. And so our cup needs to remain full in order to give the children what they need. And that actually might be a really good time to share this verse. This is a Steiner verse. It says, "We must eradicate from the soul all fear and terror of what comes toward man out of the future." This is a tall order. "We must acquire serenity in all feelings and sensations about the future. We must look forward with absolute equanimity to everything that may come. And we must think that whatever comes to us is given by a world directive full of wisdom. It is part of what we must learn in this age, namely, to live out of pure trust without any security in existence. Trust in the ever-present help of the spiritual world. Truly, nothing else will do if our courage is not to fail us. And let us seek the awakening from ourselves every morning and every evening." I know I've said this to my current first grade families, but this is a time in our world when many people are looking to shirk responsibility. And I really admire those of you, the families with us at Lotus and Ivy, who choose to take on the responsibility of educating their children at home, and to do it in a way that feels good for you. So I'm just a huge proponent of that and admire the choice that you are considering making or that you are making with homeschooling. So in first grade, the principle of imitation is the main principle. And as we move to grade 2, the natural authority principle supersedes that one of imitation. And so authority must arise naturally from who we are. It can't come from some other place, or maybe a book that we've read or something that we've seen online. It must live with us and how we want to become the North Star for the children in front of us. And all of this in the classroom starts with artistic teaching. Artistic teaching sows seeds for children to harvest later in their life. Artistic teaching is slow and deep, a slow, deep water. And in our material world, that's also kind of a tall order, because we want to have things produced as quickly as possible. And what we are looking to do in Waldorf education is to slowly knit a sweater for each child that's going to grow with them throughout their lives. And how we do that is through art and through feeling in these younger grades. Stories, images, and feelings to supply them with that sweater that grows. So for language arts, how all of this 7 and 8-year-old being, what it needs, what these children need in front of us, because they are slowly beginning to move away from the oneness and toward freedom. So they need stories that nurture this experience, this new experience to them of choice. And how we do that in language arts we have two ends of the spectrum. We have the nature stories, and we have what is traditionally called the saints. I call this block helpers of humanity. And we've got this spectrum of humanity in front of us. We have earthly beings in nature and spirit beings in the saints. And so we kind of tread we walk this spectrum of stories together. And the nature stories are wonderful. They're sometimes fables. You might just hear them called fables, but they're mostly all about anthropomorphizing animals to give them human characteristics so that we're still in the imagination realm. We're not coming into the head. We're not telling didactic stories about right and wrong. The animals give us a vehicle to stay in the imagination and to keep morality away from the intellect and to keep it in the feeling. We want to educate them through their feeling. Native stories are another great vehicle for this as well. And so they keep children in their imaginations in order to have intimate experiences with human moral dilemmas. Steiner has a wooden sculpture that he sculpted where man is, and this is kind of what we're doing in second grade, is we are the gap, we're the bridge between the spirit world and the earthly world. Like we connect them both. And so that's kind of what we're doing in second grade as well. For example, these moral dilemmas, when we hear a story about Anansi the spider lying to the spider queen, we aren't analyzing the effect of a lie. We aren't even looking at ourselves in any type of way. But we're experiencing the feeling of what it feels like from within. How when we hear a lie, it twists and turns our insides a little bit and makes us feel, uncertain. We're educating them through their feeling. And then when the truth comes out, our shoulders drop. So really we're educating them through their feeling and their nervous system. And how when the truth comes out, we feel a settled rightness with the world. We are giving them a feeling experience to orient them into their own compass. I also find the more I talk about this curriculum, it is difficult to put into words because, again, we live in this material world. But we are, it's just the garden is like the best analogy I can think of is how we're kind of growing, and that we're looking at the longevity of a child's life and not the right here and right now of what can they do. Let's check these boxes. We're educating them through their feeling life so that they can go forth in beauty and freedom and reverence and awe of the world, which I think we need a whole lot more of. So these nature stories connect us with the earthly nature of our being, the dilemmas of what it means to be human, but we're hearing them through the nature stories. Whereas the stories of the helpers of humanity connect us with the spiritual nature of our being. What is possible when we transform our physical earthliness and choose a difficult or righteous path? We transform ourselves through our choices and through our freedom. So, for example, a child hears the story of Siddhartha Gautama and walks away with a feeling or the feeling of slowness and what it means to observe human beings and to take a different path than maybe what is exactly laid out in front of them. And they walk away with the peace of that helper of humanity. And so those are the two groups of stories that we work with in language arts. The animal stories, the nature stories, and the helpers of humanity, and how that kind of meets the child there. And in math, so in our main lesson, we alternate language arts and math every other block. And in math, we are really solidifying what we've begun in first grade. We have an introduction to all four processes really deeply in first grade, getting to know them through the gnomes and through their own characters, and the temperaments of those gnomes. And skip counting has had a wonderful start in first grade. And of course, meeting all of the numbers and talking about parts and whole, and not in a heady way, but in a very experiential way. And so in second grade, we're looking to just develop and deepen those relationships to the numbers, relationships and connections. Ultimately, if they don't have a relationship to something, they won't be able to find their way with it. So their own connection to it is really what matters. And so inside of this, this experience of the second grader, and they're looking to loving authority of rightness and goodness, you know, and in first grade, they should walk away with this feeling that the world is beautiful. Wow, the world is beautiful. And in second grade, they should walk away with this feeling of the world is good. The world is good. And just like all these things, you know, this is growing to be a taller and taller order. And so what is required of us as grown-ups around children is to let us seek the awakening within ourselves, eradicate from the soul all fear and terror. This is really hard work. I think it's worth it. And that it really matters, but it is hard work, and you don't have to do it alone. If you come join us with Lotus and Ivy, we could do it together. But I guess back to math is finding the excitement and beauty and rightness in mathematical forms, creating the North Star of math, that there's truth and beauty in math and pattern and symmetry. And place value awakens their order and structure in the world, and that there are rules, and that these are the rules that we follow, and it is for the good of all. I think that's all I have, Sarah.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Gemignani. It's very inspiring. I wanted to just mention we have some other classes for second graders. So at Lotus and Ivy, you can choose your schedule, whatever your homeschool needs. Main lesson is the core of what we offer here. It is where the new concepts are introduced. It's where we really lay that core foundation for second grade that Miss Gemignani just talked about. But all of these other classes, we call them the complements because they really complement that purpose and the intention that we have in the main lesson. However, sometimes you might like to teach the main lesson yourself, and you just need some help, maybe with Spanish or math, and so that's fine at Lotus and Ivy too. So I just wanted to quickly mention the other classes we offer for second grade. We have our math skills, which again, Miss Gemignani will introduce the new concepts in main lesson, and then Miss Garlieb will practice those and really grow those concepts in the skills class that meets twice a week. We have watercolor painting, Spanish with Miss Napa, theater and speech with Miss Roselli, movement, adventure, and circus. Last year we only offered adventure and circus for our 3rd through 6th grade. This year Miss Pearl is also teaching it to our 2nd graders. So if you don't know much about that class, Miss Pearl is actually leading us in a May Day dance during our May Day celebration this Friday. So you could meet her and get a little taste of that there. We have pentatonic flute for 2nd grade, beginning knitting, German, woodworking, hand sewing, cooking, and finally Waldorf-inspired seasonal crafting, which is actually with Miss Gemignani. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to email us anytime. You can even text us from the website. We can set up a call. We would love to answer your questions. If you have any now, we can take a few minutes. You can put it in the chat or raise your hand. We're happy to answer them now too.
I don't think so. Just to reiterate, I just really honor even just the grappling of the decision of homeschooling, and 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 joining with hands with other people all over the world who are holding all the same kind of beauty and reverence for children that I think they really, yeah, deserve to be held in, to see our world change.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for your grappling.
Second grade is such a beautiful year. So it's just a blessing to have that, watch another 2 classes unfold here at Lotus and Ivy. All right. Well, thank you all for
Hi,
attending.
I
Oh
did
yeah,
have a
hi. Go
I did
ahead.
have a quick
Thank you.
question. I do plan to email some questions after the meeting sometime this week, at some point this week. But I think this one might be a little like too much for email, so I'll just ask it here. I'm interested in, from what I've researched and like looked up on you guys, I see that you're able to teach the information, which is great, and to share it with the children. I'm curious too about the connection between children, between families. We are a current Waldorf family, but looking to go in this direction. So, losing that daily touch point of community with everyone, like how are you seeing families coordinate with each other virtually, being in different states and even countries possibly?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah, I've seen lots of different forms over the years. One current one that we have in first grade is we have pen pals, which families had the opportunity to sign up for. We have a contact list, so everyone knows like the city and state where each other live, and if parents are willing to share their phone numbers, they can connect with families that way. Um, and some families are closer in proximity than others, and they're able to get together. I have a few families this year. I think Lucia met a classmate, right? Yeah, yeah. Um, and Ashley, could you share about how that kind of came about?
Yeah, so we're fortunate enough. We live in a state where a lot of people vacation. We're down in Florida, and we were contacted by a classmate of Lucia's off of the contact list. They let us know that they were coming into town. And we got together with them several times while they were in town, which was really, really fun. It was fun for the kids, and it was also fun just as parents to connect with like-minded people. And then we also got to meet one of the teachers from Lotus and Ivy. She was also down here vacationing. My oldest son is in third grade. So we got to meet her, and that was really, really, really special. So and like Miss Gemignani said, the pen pals, that has been fun. And you'll see that there are maybe typically there are people, like you said, in close proximity that, it might not be a 5-minute drive, but there are people in your state that, if you plan accordingly, you could get together with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank
Thanks,
you.
Ashley.
I also want to mention that we do have some groups that we know of in a few states, Georgia, Florida, and California, for sure. And some of the students meet on Fridays because we don't have classes on Fridays at Lotus and Ivy. But in Orlando, we have a large group, and they're called the Dreamer School. We have a Dreamer School just outside of Atlanta as well. And some of our students will attend like on Wednesday and then watch the recording on Wednesday. So that's not ideal. It's better, of course, to attend class live because you do the live class versus the recording. It's just like night and day. The students really do feel a friendship with those students in their class. We keep the class size relatively small compared to the brick and mortar school, just to help with that sense of community. But depending on what state you're in, shoot us an email. We can let you know if we know of some groups there where there are other Lotus and Ivy families.
We also have Aya here, Oliver's mom, who organized, they were in Japan for months. And Aya organized friendship gatherings on Fridays. And so having like a class parent who took up again more responsibility to say like, oh, Oliver can't come to live classes. And so she wanted Oliver to have that connection. Yeah, I mean, what was that like for Oliver to have that? And he also, because he was in Japan, he had to watch the recordings for months, and now he's back in live classes. So what has that been like for him and for you?
Like it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we definitely understood that how being in live class was way more fun and more engaging. And Oliver was just listening right next to me and said, I agree. Yeah, so um, coming up with the friendship gathering was also a very good experience for both of us. And yeah, I got to know um, some wonderful people, wonderful parents, and yeah, um, and Miss Gemignani was so supportive of this project all the way through. So yeah, I felt very supported, and yeah, it's no longer going on the friendship gathering, but we are so happy to be back in the class. But yeah, it's an option. It's possible to be out of the country and out of the time, time difference, but it's manageable.
Mm, Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I think in an in-person Waldorf school too, it kind of is what we make it together. And so by Aya bringing that to me, of course, like I'm going to support that. And so it's kind of, we all have to carry our own responsibilities. And when we do that, like really, really beautiful things happen. Um, yeah, at home, here, all together, and then we're able to kind of, in an imaginative way, hold hands all across the globe.
Thank you for your question. Any other questions before we close? Okay, well, thank you for joining today. Thank you for those watching the recording. We look forward to seeing you in second grade in September. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody. Goodbye and thank
Bye-bye.
you.